And we're back with BBM Productions and Go Podcasts. This week, we're going to talk about things we hate about in movies, be it whole movies or parts that just ruin potentially good movies. And go.
Remember episode 1?
What, you're the one who nominated it for best score.
Best score, yes.
Worst movie.
We were all so excited for episode 1. And even as a child, I was like, what the fuck is this, man?
Yeah, what just happened? Yeah.
I tried to like it. I think I saw it 4 times in the theater. I think my mom was the first one to take me. And then I went with Alex and his dad to this really cool movie theater, shout out Gaslamp. And then I went at the $4 movie theater twice because it was $4. But yeah, it was not good. Jar Jar Binks, what the fuck? I know this is all, it's been covered thousands of times in literally thousands of podcasts, but if we're talking about movies that let us down or were just like bad or made us mad, that's one of them. And honestly, a bit of a tangent. I have 2 tangents for this podcast. This is my first one. Honestly, we should have known better because we had all seen the original VHS original trilogy that were great, and then we fucking and then we all went to the theater to watch the special editions that were hot garbage. So I don't know why we expected after they went back and ruined the good ones, not ruined, but made worse the good ones. I don't know why we expected episode 1 to be good. Because we're fools. And here we are 15 years later doing the same thing over and over again where we think these Star Wars movies are going to be good. The Mandalorian shouldn't have been good, but it was really good. Solo should have been great. It was just kind of good. I mean, also Solo. Okay, let me just back up. Episode 1 was probably, in terms of the reception, the biggest bomb of our time. The kid that played Anakin never worked in Hollywood again because of the ridicule that he got, even as a fucking 8th grader or whatever he was. His life was ruined, personally and professionally, for being involved in this piece of shit. And I don't blame him. I blame George Lucas. You should have learned, buddy. Don't direct. You're an idea guy. You're not a fucking put it to paper, make it believable guy. You're a big picture guy. Anyway, this isn't a top 10, but that's like the most infuriating movie of all time to me.
Thank you for that.
And somehow not the worst Star Wars movie.
Somehow, yes.
Yeah.
What's
it
the
got
worst?
worse.
What's
it
the
got
worst?
To me, was Clone Wars. Sorry.
See, I will argue with that. Okay, Clone Wars was passable, but it still wasn't good.
I agree with Brian on this. A lot of people say Clone Wars is the worst. I actually just watched a podcast earlier this week that was railing on Clone Wars. But my least favorite of the original trilogy was Revenge of the Sith, honestly.
I mean,
overall.
they're close. They're right there.
I mean, Clone Wars, you had the ridiculous sand its course and it gets everywhere line, and the fucking nothing but cringy bit on Naboo. But everything else I really liked. I liked the opening scene. I liked the kind of world building, the end part with all the Jedi slanted in that arena, you know?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Revenge of the Sith had a lot of burden on it, though, of being the last one in the new trilogy to really
bridge
wrap
the
it
gap.
up.
Yeah, bridge the gap there.
It had a tougher time. I think it was better in regards to actual filmmaking, but story-wise, they were trapped in a box. It's sort of like Rogue One, but Rogue One did a better job of adapting what you already knew was to happen. I did like the end up, it's sort of a cliche, the I have the high ground, don't try it sort of bit, but it was actually interesting.
That scene, to me, is what kind of redeems Revenge of the Sith. Like, it's the only time you get any sort of real emotion out of that relationship. Everything else is just, I mean, Anakin's still a whiny asshole, but in that particular moment, it feels like it's not out of place. Whereas, I don't know, just God, terrible acting, terrible writing for Anakin's character throughout.
Maybe George Lucas was watching too much anime. That was the
If
era
you
of whiny ass anime protagonists. So that's my guess. I want to blame everything bad on modern Hollywood, like the overpowered people like Ray. I blame DBZ for that. It's just a theory of mine. Anime ruined the West Hollywood, action wise.
If you take
Well,
Ewan
no.
McGregor out of those films, they're unwatchable.
Yeah, in terms of actors,
Not gonna
he
argue.
was kind of the saving grace there. I mean, you had what's his name in the first one?
Liam Nielsen.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm talking about
Before he became a
Clone
joke.
Wars and Revenge of the Sith. Like if you take Ewan McGregor, if you take Obi-Wan out, then if you take those parts out of the film, it's just garbage.
They always allude to a movie I'd rather watch. Like when Anakin and Obi-Wan are stepping off of the transport or whatever, and Anakin's like, "That's 4 times I saved you, Master."
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, "No, 3 times. That bit with the Gundarks doesn't count." I want to watch that movie. What happened with the Gundarks where Anakin thinks he saved you, and it doesn't count? Like, let me see that flashback or something. They should have taken a more Family Guy approach, given me the flashback, and then went on with the story.
Just looks up into the side and goes through that whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been way more interesting than fucking 20 minutes of. Now, see, I want to go back to the I had the high ground thing because I have mixed feelings about that scene. On the one hand, it was cool. On the other hand, I didn't really like the fight leading up to it, where they're fighting on the uh, coal mine carts, essentially in space. The lava robots that are picking shit up. It it just felt a little shoehorned in, like, oh, Darth Vader's mostly machine because I cut his ass up. Now I did warn him, but he didn't listen, so I fucking chopped off both his legs and his arm and left him to burn on the side of a fucking molten river. I don't know. In like the last scene of the movie, I don't know. It just felt a little shoehorned in. Ewan McGregor was fantastic, though. That's indisputable. And Natalie Portman finally decided to act in those movies in like the last scene where she died of a broken heart or whatever. Um, yeah, yeah. They just had to explain, and that was the burden of the movie again. They had to like explain every single, and that's actually kind of a curse in the Star Wars universe. You don't have to explain every single fucking thing. I didn't have to know how Han Solo got his name, and it was a stupid reason that you came up with on top of that.
Yeah.
I didn't just see Han get his gun. He just got a gun. I don't know.
They could. I don't know. I felt like they just could have done anything with that. Other than she died of a broken heart. I mean, he could have like tried to use the Force to collapse something on Obi-Wan and it fell on her. I don't know. Just it could have been anything like that, and instead they just went super fucking lame with it.
Vice versa, Obi-Wan tries to get him, and it collapses on her.
Talking about
Shyamalan twist.
bad sort of tie-ins. Captain Marvel. How Nick Fury lost his eye. The cat. I mean, the whole movie was pretty much 50-50. There was a lot of things that I think Hollywood thought would appeal to females, and
Don't try to defend you being a cat person now, Brian.
yeah, just because you're the dog guy and I have 2 cats and a wife and child who sometimes meows does not make me a cat person. Okay.
A child that sometimes meows.
Okay, that might
Brian's
be
like, I'm really
exaggeration.
upset that it came down to a cat taking his eye. Like,
Yeah, it did.
bad stereotyping.
That was just a shoehorn. Well, we brought up the shoehorn thing, and it was even worse with Captain Marvel's Nick Fury. Technically, it wasn't even a cat. It was some sort of weird alien cat morph thing, but that was just such a grab bag, and it was going for such the nostalgia fix. It was just like blatant crap. I mean, I liked I liked half the movie. The other half I mean, if they just stuck to some certain things, it would have been much. They could have made that work, except for Brie Larson's her acting. It might have been the script, but her acting did not suit that script. Everyone else was a good actor in that film. I mean, Samuel Jackson. What can you say?
Fantastic, man.
Uh,
He brings a lot of weight to these Marvel movies. Again, reinstated Disney Plus. I've been at home all day, working, but still. Um, I've been playing them in the background because I don't really care enough about the story to pay attention every second. But Sam Jackson brings a lot of fucking weight to those movies. Sorry to cut you off. You were talking about him being a good actor in Captain Marvel.
yeah, he sort of became a cliche and a meme there for a bit, but he sort of stepped up his game after a while.
I never thought he was a meme. Tony fucking
There
Robert
was
Downey became a meme.
Snakes on a plane, Mike. Really?
Oh well,
He
that I
was
thought you meant in the Marvel.
No,
universe. He
I'm
was
talking
definitely a meme.
before the Marvel universe and after
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction. He sort of
He
became
has
a
a sense of
meme.
humor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean he plays into that better than
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum for that matter.
Black Snake Moan. Sorry, go on.
Repeat
Goldblum.
that?
Black Snake Moan. He was pretty memey in that. I felt.
Yeah. That's
And
where I
Django.
think he started coming out of it in that period. Black Snake Moan and Django Unchained. Was he in that? I think so.
He was more memey in that. But what
But-
were you saying about Jeff Goldblum? Go on.
Oh, he just played into the camp, and he's still working with it now. I mean, he was never that serious of an actor. The Fly, he did a passable job. Jurassic Park, he did a good job in that. That was his best role, I think. Independence Day is where he started slipping. But these are movies. Independence Day was good overall, so I can't complain about that in particular. He sort of faded out, and I understand why. He was in some horrible films. Pretty much every film adaptation of a Dean Koontz novel failed big time. That's sort of funny, in my opinion. His books weren't that high up there on the scale. They were above average as a whole, Dean Koontz. But this is about movies, not about formulated writers. Yeah, but he played into the camp for that one. That's why he's doing good in the roles he's picking up now. He's having
That's the point
fun.
of the role.
Yeah, he's having fun with it. He's being very selective, which is smart of him. He's not just taking roles he can't handle. I think it's smart of him. I don't think he's a bad actor. He's just extremely limited range.
Yeah, I think he's a legitimate freak. I mean, I know that most interviews are staged, in terms of what you're going to talk about, like when you see a celebrity on a talk show or whatever. But his interviews with Conan kind of allude to his delirium, and he's like in his 60s, and he walks around in like these. He's like a clean Johnny Depp. He has this young wife. He's just a very strange guy, and he's very rich, and he can do pretty much whatever. And he's had some, I mean, obviously, and he's also living on Jurassic Park money, He probably got paid millions to, like, slip into A Whole New World or whatever that last one was called.
A Whole New World. Aladdin does Jurassic Park, right?
Well, he's doing that Disney show, so it's all Disney now. But, I mean, when I think about Jeff Goldblum, I mean, think about the range between Jurassic Park and then Independence Day, where he had to, like, that was like half Ian Malcolm and half something else, right? Because he had to come out of this iconic role that he had. And then, what's eating Gilbert Grape? No. Rigby Goes Down. That was a good one. He was really good in that. Steve, Earth Girls Are Easy was in the 80s, but yeah, not bad. Played an alien. That was like Around the Fly, so that's another transition, right? I really liked Steve Zissou, Life Aquatic. There's a great scene, spoilers for Steve Zissou, I guess, where he's playing cards with because so Jeff Goldblum is his rival oceanographer or whatever, right? And he gets kidnapped, and he's playing cards with the pirates, and Steve Zissou's on a rescue mission with Willem Dafoe, and Steve Zissou, Bill Murray busts in, and like all the pirates are there, and Jeff Goldblum's like, "Is this a rescue?" And Bill Murray's like, "Yeah, fold." I mean, obviously he's not going to get out of that because they're like
Talking
a
about
dozen
Life
pirates.
Aquatic, there was I don't remember his name. He gives me Jake Gyllenhaal vibes in Life Aquatic and a lot of Bill Murray movie. A lot of those weird, quirky Bill Murray movies. I
Wes
can't
Anderson
remember.
movies, yeah. Owen Wilson
I,
was in there as the son he thought he had.
I don't hate his Owen Wilson as much as I should. I don't know why.
Owen Wilson's fine because it's because of the Wes Anderson movies,
Just
in my
like
opinion.
Luke Wilson, I feel like his acting is very bad, but I can't hate him in any movies he's in. His acting is not good, but somehow I like it. I guess it's just
This
that
is about
Wilson
shitty
appeal.
movies.
Yes. Okay, let's get back on track. Talk about a really
Shitty.
shitty movie with a good actor. I tried to watch Doolittle. And yes, Mr. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., was in that. He did a great job. Everyone else was freaking crap. The animals, the CG animals were good, but they had some serious problems, especially towards the dragon scene. Continuity errors. It just looked like crap by the end. I mean,
I
whoever,
was just trying to figure out why we needed another version of Doctor Doolittle. Like,
because
how many times are they going to do that movie?
because
It's
Eddie
out of
Murphy.
copyright, so it's like free IP, I think.
Another thing where a comedian just goes downhill and sells out. Eddie Murphy.
I didn't mind the Eddie Murphy Dr.
Oh,
Doolittle, honestly.
It's
I
garbage.
I
I was a
think
kid at the
all
Ruined
time,
his
but-
career.
probably. I think I Bowfinger. I think was
Yeah,
a good.
Bowfinger.
I
yeah.
like Bowfinger. It
That
was
one where he was a
Liked it?
spaceship.
Oh, God.
That ruined his career. The spaceship one?
Oh,
What was that one
yeah.
called?
I don't remember.
sorry I dropped
Either.
off. He had a whole string of stinkers that I'm like, okay, like doing the '80s. You are a sellout now. Bye. But I watched Bowfinger for some reason, and
Now
that
he's trying to come back. He's doing stand up again and whatnot. And it just feels like a cash grab to me because he's been so nonchalant, and so willing or adamant about not being in the game. Eddie Murphy trying to downplay his love child with Scary Spice, and be out of the game. He doesn't need the money, but apparently he needs the money. And I would like to watch some Eddie Murphy comedy, but on principle, I feel like I can't because it just feels dirty to me. I don't know.
And he changed his whole persona, and I'm not sure why or what happened.
Yeah.
Because in the 80s and even early 90s, fantastic. Some of the best movies out there. Trading Places and Beverly Hills Cop. Some of the best films that you can think of in a comedy genre. But all of a sudden, he just completely changed into a whole different type of comedic actor, and it was not good.
I think it's the Bill Cosby effect. Okay, people talk
got
about this.
Drugged or
He's drugged, yeah.
yeah.
No. Just I heard stories about this. How black comedians back in the day they tended to tone down to be more family friendly for some reason. Bill Cosby did it. Eddie Murphy definitely tried to. They had their edgy phase. I believe Bill Cosby had an edgy phase for like 5 seconds. Because I think it was George Carlin talking about that before he sort of became corporate. But
Depends on what
that's
your goals are.
but-
You have to get out of that edgy phase eventually if you want to be mass marketable, right? Change your image. I feel like as you're saying that, I was thinking Eddie Murphy and Jim Carrey are like the opposite of each other because I feel like they got kind of edgy at certain points, and then they both were kind of family friendly overall. And they're both weirdos, I'm sure. So I don't know. I just feel like they took different paths that were opposite each other. It's just kind of my tangent. I don't know.
I don't understand because you're talking about being more marketable. I mean, yeah, I would imagine that things like Beverly Hills Cop and stuff like that did better than a lot of these crap films. I mean, Nutty Professor was pretty popular, and it had its moments, it had its laughs, but
Hercules, Hercules.
Just
It's
didn't
when, by the
wasn't
time the
nearly as
clumps
good.
rolled around, yeah.
Bowfinger was god awful.
Oh, I like Bowfinger. It was god awful.
Terrible.
It was terrible.
I don't think I could
liked
finish it. I tried watching it twice and couldn't finish it.
Okay. That was the only thing I liked Eddie Murphy in for a while, and you even saying you don't like it. I think it is an acquired taste. Like a lot of Bill Murray's movie Life Aquatic was weird and hard to get into. Lost in Translation, that was probably his weakest performance in that weird period he did. I mean, it was still a passable film, and we keep gravitating towards what we like opposed to what we dislike.
But real quick on that, I disagree with that. I think the Bill Murray and the Wes Anderson movies had to be over the top. It was almost like a Broadway show where you had to like be over the top so that the audience could get what you were feeling. With Lost in Translation, it was much more nuanced. You know, his
Yeah,
wife was FedExing him carpet samples in Tokyo from like bumfuck America, and sending him faxes. Which do you like better and stuff? And he just like played this broken guy. Just I don't know. It was much more nuanced, his role.
It was good, but overall his performance was a little weaker in that. I think because it didn't play to his strengths.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think it just wasn't as over the top as the Wes Anderson movies. Like half of the Wes Anderson stuff was just him in costume. All right, you're an angry dad who's a cuckold. Okay. Did that like 3 times, I think, actually. Angry cuckold dad. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, shitty movies. Sorry, guys.
That's fine. I think personally Ben Affleck has the reverse Midas touch, and anything he touched for a while became shit. I mean, I think he even brought down the Silent Bob movies.
No, I don't blame him for that.
What, the Silent Bob movies? You blame Kevin Smith? He went through a rough patch. I tried to watch his one about the cult, Red State. It was okay.
This might be the right time for tangent number 2 that I had.
Figure.
It's a
this
quick
been
one.
brewing since Kevin Smith. Okay. Spotlight's yours.
It'll be a quick one. Guys, I'm sorry. I just have to, again, reiterate the fact that the Askewniverse book was closed. I just saw a thing the other day that was talking about how Kevin Smith was, since there's COVID going on, I'm writing Mallrats too. And I was like, geez, yeah, Kevin, just fucking do sequels to every film you fucking did. Do another, even though it's not in the Askewniverse, do another Jersey Girl, Kev. I don't know, man. It's insulting. The book was closed. Even if it could be a prequel, and I could rationalize that. But for it to be a sequel, she closed the book in Dogma, but I left the back door because there were some pages left when she closed the book. So then I did Clerks 2, and now she's really closed the book. No pages left in the book. God has closed the book. All part of the plan, baby. But actually, I need money now, so there's going to be a fucking Clerks 3. We're getting Mallrats 2. We're getting Chasing Amy, What Happened to Amy's Daughter, or whatever. And Amy wasn't even the name of Renee Zellweger. It was the fucking Kevin Smith's ex-girlfriend was Amy. Anyway.
Agree. He should have pulled a reverse George Lucas and tried to pretend like all that didn't happen when he replaced the original trilogy.
Well, he's replacing it all now, and he's pretending like it's not happening now. But he should do a special edition as a meme. I always wanted Clerks to be in color and just make it like ridiculous CG colors and make like Randall fucking Master Chief and. That'd be fun.
Or random animals walking by and
yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask you, Looper was a mixed bag. I liked the acting, the story was god awful. That was everyone's favorite director, Rian Johnson. That's why they gave him The Last Jedi. That I swear, I don't know if he writes these things or just directs them horribly and makes horrible decisions. I know I've gone on the rant about Last Jedi. I don't know if I have on this podcast, but really, a pretty much a road trip movie. In the middle of the movie and the slow chase, it's never a good idea to have a slow chase, especially in the middle of the film.
Science fiction film.
Enough people have railed against that movie, though, so I don't want to take up my time. Yes, I've said this before. Film script teachers teach The Last Jedi script as bad screenwriting. Enough said there. And they use I forget, one of the original trilogy as an example of good screenwriting. I mean,
nothing too outlandish, but yeah. Solid.
Lauren gets mad at me because I keep picking apart movies and
my wife does the same.
I'm like, I'm sorry, but it really has been a while since I've seen anything that has been well written and well directed. And I just don't understand it. It's just the small shit. Like, I don't know. Some bad line delivery that I'm like, really? That's the take you landed on? You couldn't say, hey, run that 10 seconds again, because it just was so out of place. Just stuff like that. And I don't know. Some of it's just terrible writing from the get-go,
Yeah.
And talking about bad things and potentially good movies, he didn't ruin the movie, but Michael Cera almost ruined Scott Pilgrim. That was an epic movie. And the only problem with it was the lead. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Am I alone on this?
Michael Cera?
He almost ruined it, okay? I know I'm pushing it. I think any other actor could have made that movie an actual hit.
No.
Oh.
Who would you get instead of Michael Cera?
Anyone.
In 2003. What do you mean anyone? Tobey Maguire? Would you get Tobey Maguire? Would you get Rob Lowe to play Scott Pilgrim?
Probably, yeah. They could do a more
Rob
passable
Lowe
young
over
guy.
Michael Cera? You could see Rob Lowe fucking ordering some shit from Amazon just so Ramona Flowers delivers it to him.
Yeah.
And as soon as he clicks order, he's in front of the door.
Yep.
You think fucking Carrot Top?
No,
Could
not
do that
Carrot
in 2003?
Top.
Christian Bale? Actually, I would like to see Christian Bale as Scott Pilgrim. That would be fantastic.
Okay. Sorry, I'm saying that was a superb movie, done well, good script.
No, it was
underrated.
Perfect the way it was. It was perfect the way it was.
Okay.
It wasn't for everyone.
That was the only film that I enjoyed.
But it was fine.
Should I say? I hated him and everything else.
Superbad?
Okay, Superbad. He was fine in Superbad, but they had.
Now, to your credit, those are the only two. Good Michael Cera films.
He played to his. Juno was just bad.
Juno was all right.
I mean, it had a good premise. It was well acted, except for him, of course. What is it? Ellen Page. She almost. I don't know if it was the script or her who almost ruined Umbrella Academy.
J.K. Simmons was in that. J.K. Simmons was in Juno. That was pretty good.
The movie was Slish Slosh. Taking a bath all around Saturday night.
What was the worst movie you've ever seen? Or even the worst movie you ever seen in the theaters? Have you ever walked out on one?
I think I walked out of a Bourne Crisis. I really had a hatred for Matthew Damon for a while. Was that his name? He did not fit that.
He's pretty insufferable there for a while. I also agree with you on the Matt Damon hate, especially for a while.
Oh,
yeah. It kind of came around here in the last couple of years for me, with...
I hated DiCaprio for the longest time also. After Titanic, he was in everything, and I didn't watch any of it. I saw previews, and they were bad enough. Romeo and Juliet was probably the exception, but that might have been before Titanic.
Damon, though, Bill?
So I couldn't stand him for the longest time.
Yeah, I never really minded DiCaprio throughout. Honestly, I get why people didn't like him, but I was kind of indifferent. And then I really liked him for Departed. With Damon, I feel like it was kind of the opposite. I liked him around Bourne. I liked him in all the Bourne movies, actually, even the last one. I didn't like We Bought a Zoo, which was later. I didn't like that one, Promised Land, I think. It was like him
Now he's
opposite
in
John
Downside.
Krasinski.
Downsize. Did anyone see previews for that?
Oh God, yeah, it looked awful. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I think he's just trying to make money at this point. I think he's just whatever's going to be an easy shoot. He doesn't want to do a lot of makeup. He's just trying to make his money and have a family and whatever, and that's fine. Because it doesn't seem like I liked him in Martian too. Yeah,
I didn't watch it.
but it's weird.
Still dislike him enough to not see a sci-fi film with him.
Interstellar, great cameo. He's great with the cameos. Had the cameo in Ragnarok, you know?
He's great when you only see him for a few minutes at a time.
Absolutely, yeah, because he's built that name. It's interesting how, like, him and Ben Affleck switched. Everyone hated Ben Affleck and liked Matt Damon, and it kind of balanced out a little bit.
Oh, people still hate Ben Affleck. He's insufferable.
Speaking
of... He was on Bill Maher. I'm not even going to get into that.
There's something else I was going to say about Matt Damon before he moved on, because I have one thing to say about Ben Affleck for sure, but I don't remember what it was. So Ben Affleck, awful movie called Company Men, with him and Tommy Lee Jones, and
he ruined a movie with Tommy Lee Jones. Such a shame.
Tommy Lee Jones was phoning it in pretty hard in that movie, but they did the reverse Good Will Hunting, where Ben Affleck was the talented rich guy, and Kevin Costner, shout out to one of our very first podcasts. Go fucking scroll through the history, listener, and find it. Kevin Costner was the Ben Affleck character in this reverse Good Will Hunting, and Ben Affleck was Good Will Hunting, so he got the "you better take that job" conversation. You know, Kevin Costner was the construction worker, struggling to make ends meet, but, you know, family guy, cool guy, whatever, and Ben Affleck was fucking the one being told to go make $80,000 a year or whatever. It was fucking hilarious and sad at the same time.
I hated Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting. Just throwing that out there.
What?
Unpopular opinion. I hated him in that movie.
What? Wow.
Robin Williams was the only really redeeming factor to that. I mean, the script was well written. I liked a lot of the one-liners, but man, Matt Damon, I just wanted to punch him in the face. He was so annoying in that film.
Yeah, that's what stopped me from seeing that Robin Williams movie. Both Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, nope, wasn't gonna do it. I mean, I even saw that horrible drama Robin Williams did. Not Patch Williams. That one was a little weak. Same thing with him, Reverse Agent. It was a fun concept. But I'm going to probably piss off Bill now. Will Smith, there for a while, really started annoying me. Wild Wild West, I believe it was.
Everybody hated Wild Wild West.
I liked Wild Wild West.
And you liked it?
It wasn't bad, but I'm saying it was a popular thing to say how bad Wild Wild West was.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
I remember going to the theater, and I mean, you got fucking Selma Hayek's butt. You got fucking Jim West. You got Artemis Cladfrog. Freaking Wild Wild West.
Artemis Cladfrog.
It's a great time, man. Why not? Why not? Jim West. He's the best. He got a fucking classic Will Smith fucking rap.
Right.
At the end there. Fine. I wouldn't watch it as an adult, but it's fine.
Okay. You were juvenile back then. I will forgive you for actually liking Wild West.
I was definitely juvenile then.
You're not so much now. Understand
Wild West.
completely. Also, his son is not a good actor. He's definitely not a good voice actor.
No.
What was that movie they did
Jaden Smith.
together?
Oh, After Earth.
After Earth. Fucking
Oh.
one of the shittiest movies of all time.
Yeah. Which is such a shame because it had the potential to be a great movie.
Sounded cool.
Yeah. The premise was there.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
What was the premise?
Well, that mankind had to abandon Earth because of ecological disaster, I think, and that the animals and plant life had taken back over and had continued to evolve, and then they crash land back on Earth, and he's like, everything here has evolved to kill man and blah blah blah, and they have to survive there. It's I don't know how many thousands of years or whatever in the future it's supposed to be, but
so it's a sci-fi survival story. It does sound like it could work. It is sad.
Yeah, the interesting part is that they crash land back on Earth from whatever planets or whatever that they had colonized.
That would have been a fun. Now that you kind of lay it down like that, would have been a fun trilogy. Of them having to leave Earth and then settling elsewhere, and then there was some conflict, and then they settled, and then 1,000 years later. But it was an awful movie. To answer your earlier question of the worst movie I've ever seen, it was Zoo. Brian, do you remember Zoo?
I wish I didn't. We couldn't get through it.
We couldn't. We tried 4 or 5 times. Hey, what up, Jordy?
It's not. It's really not worth mentioning. It's such a small title,
but it's the worst movie of all time.
Well, when you have several scenes with decaying meat and maggots, you're gonna make the audience a little stick.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's the worst movie of all time, because it has several scenes where there's decaying meat and maggots, and then literally playing it in reverse because they're trying to reanimate the meat from the maggots.
What is this? I've never...
So this is a movie called Zoo, where a guy loses his wife at the beginning of the movie in a car crash, and he's a scientist. And his goal from then on is to try to reanimate her corpse, essentially, from maggots. It's disturbing. It's awful. Everything about it is awful. The special effects aren't even good. Because, again, they literally just filmed a piece of meat turning to maggots and then played that in reverse to look like it reanimated itself. So, like Brian said, we tried several times to get through it. I think we finally got through it after three sittings. Zoo. Worst movie of all time. Don't watch it. Seriously, don't. Because it's the worst.
Whenever this is brought up, mine is always Kung Pao Enter the Fist. I got up about 10, 15 minutes in, something like that, and walked out.
Well, that's an understandable movie to hate.
Say what?
That's understandable.
I walked out of the theater. I went and found something else that was playing. I think it's something I had already seen and sat in there and watched it again.
Get the bad taste out of your mouth.
I was like, I can't do this. That's making that stupid ew sound, one of the woman in it, and I was like, this is not funny. The jokes aren't funny. The parody isn't funny. It just falls flat, and it was so fucking annoying that I couldn't sit through it. Because I remember my brother being like, no, I want to watch it, and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go find another theater to sit in because this is so annoying. It's driving me crazy.
Dumb and Dumber was like that with me. But I think a lot of people felt that way about Dumb and Dumber. Also, not Larry the Cable Guy, that's a comedian. Jim Carrey and the Cable Guy. But everyone knows that's a horrible film. It's just Jim Carrey torturing Matthew Broderick for almost the whole movie. I couldn't sit through the first 30 minutes. Maybe I made it 40 minutes into that movie before I gave up on that.
I feel like Cable Guy wasn't well received because it made people uncomfortable with the character that Jim Carrey was playing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because up until that point, I feel like Jim Carrey always kind of played this likable, dumb, funny, slapsticky, zany character. And then all of a sudden he's playing this psychopath that's kind of stalking and torturing this dude, and they're like, well, be zany, funny, likable guy, and I don't know, I feel like people went into it with let's go see a Jim Carrey film, and then got kind of freaked out.
Yeah, I can see that.
Does anyone have any unpopular opinions about movies hailed as great? Like, I didn't like Shutter Island that much, okay?
Yeah,
I don't think anyone did. I'm actually souring on Christopher Nolan overall. I think he's overrated. Not bad, mind you. So that's not really the topic at hand. I think he's just overrated. He's good, but overrated. But that was another podcast anyways. I brought that up. Any directors, well, besides George Lucas, any directors you really think just ruins films? I brought up Rian Johnson. Everything he touches, all of it has potential. His touch seems to be the reverse Midas touch. Doesn't make it horrible. Sorry.
Your first question, Shawshank, not a fan. As you all know.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Good, Mike. Do you have a little tangent for that? Lay it on us if you do.
Short one. Remember that scene where they're in the book, in the library? In the book, fucking, okay. Where they're in the library?
The book place.
The book place, book depository. Where fucking Andy Dufresne's like being questioned by Red, like, oh, so how'd you launder all this money? And Dufresne's like, oh, I made it this. Well, so and so has all the money. All right, well, who's so and so? I conjured him. I conjured him, Red. It was just the worst delivery.
It was a bad line, yeah.
The whole setting, I was just, God, no, I'm turning this off now because I can't. And everyone's like, this movie fucking rocks. And I've even gone back and watched some clips, like that scene where they're tarring the roof, and Andy Dufresne talks the guy into buying him beer. It was cool until he was talking about how we were sucking suds like any free man on the whatever. I don't know, man. Shut the fuck up, Andy Dufresne. Tim Robbins, just go back to having a bum leg, and everything's going to be fine.
Okay, I understand.
Go back to getting your revenge on your boss that you think fucked your wife with fucking Martin Lawrence, okay? Tim Robbins. Just go back to doing that. Remember that movie, Payback, I think it was called? With him and Martin Lawrence?
Kevin Hart?
No, it was Martin Lawrence.
Okay. The comedic black guy in every film for a while. It was Martin Lawrence for a while. Then it was Kevin Hart, Chris Tucker, Chris Rock.
Probably why Eddie Murphy left, honestly, because he kept getting... Oh, I keep meaning to bring this up. So I think a lot of these bad movie careers end up being because of contracts, where you're contractually obligated to do 3 Paramount films, and so you just kind of fucking do whatever to get out of the contract and take your paycheck and go, right? So I think that's how you wind up with a lot of these Dr. Doolittles and fucking shit like that. Just throwing it out there.
So, we've criticized the actors. Any more directors that we want to lump into them?
George Lucas.
Well,
I know we said it before, but we're going to say it again. George Lucas.
Worst director ever.
God. I don't know.
I throw in Rian Johnson, but his movies are passable.
And of course, there's Michael Bay. We've done the whole overrated directors crap on that thing, but
I blocked him out. Yeah, ruined the Transformers franchise. Ninja Turtles.
I also have to say that I think at times J.J. Abrams can be overrated.
Absolutely.
I think it's not the worst, but sometimes his cinematic choices are pretty questionable. Of course,
his mystery box fixation also.
I'm not a big fan of the new Star Treks.
Same here.
It's been kind of kind of been a theme for me too. It's really annoying now how they have these, well-regarded, well-liked, like franchises or properties, and then they try to bring them back or reboot them, and they just get these terrible treatments. I just don't understand it. Why invest all the time, the money into making these films just for them to be half-assed? I don't know. Like Ender's Game was another one. I mean, it's pretty well liked in the sci-fi novel community. Has a pretty big following. Won a bunch of awards and sold a bunch of copies. And then you go through all the trouble just for it to be this half-assed kind of cruddy film.
Spending half the budget on Harrison Ford.
Yeah, it's been frustrating because I'm like, if you're not going to do them correctly and stay within the like, I don't mind taking a little bit of creative license because that's what makes things interesting or updated, but why pull them apart and give this crappy version of something? Because I've been watching like Picard and Discovery, and it's been very frustrating, and I feel like a lot of that is because of what J.J. Abrams did to the Star Trek films.
Well, totally agree. I mean, the first one was interesting, still not quite to my taste. There were several scenes that just was like, oh, you just want the Michael Bay action, explosions in space.
Enough with the lens flares. Enough. Like, we all feel like we have like a horrible stigmatism, like So
yeah, that was his explosion, right?
Yeah.
Michael Bay's to explosions what J.J. Abrams is to lens flares.
See, I want to blame China for this, but I want to blame China for everything.
China!
I hate authoritarians. So, I mean, if people wouldn't kowtow to them, I mean, they have had a significant influence on Hollywood. That is probably a proven fact.
Well, I mean, it depends on what Hollywood's motive is. They
money.
Want to sell they want to sell the movie. People don't put a lot of faith in new sci-fi properties, I feel, because they always end up getting compared to Star Trek or Star Wars or Babylon 5. So they try to like do these new stories under the heading of Star Trek or Star Wars to fucking make money, and throw Harrison Ford in there. It's the only way people are going to go see a blockbuster book.
That was a best-selling
science
book.
Fiction. Yeah, that was a best-selling book. Now, like, it's popular in our community. I haven't read it myself, but it's popular amongst people I know. Like, all the people I know have read it. But if you go outside of our bubble, which is not that big by comparison, I don't think it is very well known. Or even if it's well known, will people go spend $40 at the movie theater to go see it? Probably not, unless you sweeten the pot with Harrison Ford, or at least that's the logic, Now, if you just I can't wait until, digital on demand day of is more prevalent, because then you can really start, big budget movies out of Netflix accessibility. Then you can, maybe that'll come out of COVID. Maybe that'll be good that comes out of COVID.
Well, that's already been like an argument. Haven't you heard about the thing with Universal Studio?
No.
Oh yeah, like AMC and Regal have already said that they are not going to show a lot of their films because they have planned to release it at the same time as in the theater on video on demand, like streaming services.
They're struggling to stay relevant because they know if that becomes a thing, they're done.
Yeah, so AMC both came out first, and then Regal kind of backed them up and said any film that they release the same day on any sort of streaming or video on demand, that they would not show them in the theater.
Oh.
I think AMC might have even gone as far as to say that they're not going to show any Universal film because of it. I'm sure they'll back down from that, but
they say that now. But when the next whatever franchise movie's out, they're gonna want a piece of that.
But I think Regal said anything that releases at the same time, they won't show in their theater.
Well, you're looking at this from a top-down perspective. I can't really say from. I want to look at it from a bottom up perspective. I know this is foreign to you guys. The anime scene is really actually showing how things can get made from the bottom up. A lot of these websites, webtoons, web comics are starting to get attention. And once they get their ball rolling, they get money and they get better production value. There's several things in the works where it's really from lowly creators on free sites
Yeah,
getting
yeah, but then
critically
once they get
acclaimed. You can even see it with Hollywood a little bit. Parasite, a South Korean film, actually won. Okay, it wasn't even that great of a South Korean film, from what my wife tells me. She watches a lot of Korean.
It was okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I will agree it was better than half the shit. Maybe 90% of the stuff Hollywood's been putting out nowadays.
It was unique. That's the thing. It was something different.
yeah, I don't know. I liked Birdman,
Ugh,
which felt different
hated
for
it.
Hollywood, but I think it's all cyclical. All right, so these guys get tapped to produce something for a major studio or even a mid-level studio, and they get all this production money. They're going to want that money back. So then it ends up becoming the same thing where you have to make something that's marketable, and the only thing you trust is then like these survey numbers or whatever, and then you become a slave to it. So I think it just goes in a fucking loop. Um, and there's a balance between because a lot of people also don't want to go see some low budget piece of shit where like a lot of the audio doesn't come through. So it's like this weird balance of keeping it interesting and unique and still having some money behind it. Mad Max is a good example of doing that really well, I think, where there was a lot of creative, you know, oh, Brian's just walking away from the whole conversation. Mad Max, good example of a good middle ground between high dollar production and creatively fucking fascinating.
You talking about the first one? Like the
No, I'm sorry,
original?
Fury Road. Fury Road,
But even
specifically.
that's a proven, I guess, I don't know, like film series that they just decided to, let's reboot it again.
But it was done right. I mean, they still had.
It was done, it was done fairly well. Yeah, I liked it.
I love that flick, man. It was shot well. It had some interesting elements.
But I'm saying that's not really like, let's go out on a creative limb. That's we had a film series that did really well in the '80s. Well, let's try to reboot that because of with
probably
new
the
actors.
best.
Charlie's
reboot, soft or
Angel, I
otherwise.
hear, was awful and did horrible. That's an example.
We thought that was going to be good. We thought that was going to be good.
And that would
Some
be the
ridiculous
second
TV
reboot.
show in the '70s. That'd be fine. Yeah, it's the second reboot of it. What the fuck? Who cares?
Let's not even get into reboots.
Well, it is something we hate about a lot of films.
Yeah, let's just lump all reboots together. Because
How about
Mad Max is
musicals?
How about musicals?
Hate musicals for the most part. Not all, but you know what
shut
I
your
hate worse,
fucking
though?
face, Uncle.
Yeah, I hate when they try to shoehorn a song into a film where it shouldn't be or doesn't need to be. And I think the worst is Disney. You're watching an
Live
animated
action
film,
Disney.
and they're just shoehorning in a song, and you're like, why? Made no sense here. I don't
Yeah.
get it. Didn't need another song. You've been singing for like the last 23 minutes. Please stop.
I kind of felt that way about, and even though I like the song, "Can You Feel the Air Tonight" or whatever in Lion King,
Yeah.
they just got done singing Hakuna Matata,
Yep.
and then they just dive right into this. That's like the low point of the movie
Yeah.
for me.
Totally agree.
That's interesting. So that's good. Different tropes and shit. I pick my musicals selectively, and I've pretty much liked everyone that I've seen. I will not watch Les Miserables because that just looks fucking exhausting and ridiculous. Not in a fun way. Pretentious is the word. I would see it live, but I would not watch that movie.
Same.
Uh, bop. Tropes. I mean, there's so many. I'm over every scary movie you watch. There's like the first scare is always a fake, right? Kind of tired of that. It'd be fun if there was a horror movie where like the first scare that's supposed to just be a simple jump scare, like the friend walks around the corner, hey, what's up? Whoa, and just make it like actually the killer, and they just start murdering people immediately. Thanks for watching. It's been another BBM Productions podcast. Hope you've had a good time. Don't forget to tell us how much you hate all of the movies we hated, or liked all the movies we hated, which is why you hate what we said about them. Don't forget to tell us that in the comments. We should be back next Tuesday with our top 10 movie soundtracks. So that'll be fun. Like and subscribe. Bill, Brian, Mike. Bye.